Kelsea Ballerini is shocked that there hasn't been a death yet. She was ready for it to happen much sooner. But it hasn't. It doesn't bother her at all. However, the fact that it hasn't happened yet is nonetheless shocking. Kelsey's admirers adore her and have stood by her side the whole time. There is plenty to discover and unearth. To learn more about this circumstance, continue reading. There have been rumors that Kelsea Ballerini and Chase Stokes have been intermittently active recently. There are frequent rumors that the two split up and later reconciled. Fans were therefore unsure about their relationship's current status. Then, on New Year's Eve, Chase posted a ton of images of Kelsey. Fans were also perplexed by the fact that he was left out of hers. After then, Kelsey informed her followers on her Instagram story that they were together and that the rumors had to end. When she posted this, her fans were taken aback. But she's sick of hearing remarks about her relationship. More than everything, Kelsea Ballerini adores her puppy, Dibs. He received a cancer diagnosis in August 2024. His prognosis was 4 months. This was difficult for Kelsey and more upsetting than before. She was getting about to lose her closest buddy. He is still here, nevertheless, and leading the finest life possible. Fans as well as Kelsey have been stunned by this. She is not prepared for the day Dibs, her best buddy, crosses the rainbow bridge. She is appreciative of the additional time she has spent with him though, and delighted that he is still here. Dibs appears to have barely 4 months to live. That was in 2024 though. He is still alive, living his best life in 2026. For her, this has been shocking. She is really thankful, nevertheless, that her child has not yet crossed the rainbow bridge. She has been taking care of his medical needs and ensuring his comfort. Kelsea Ballerini has learned to live with a paradox in a field where relevancy is as brittle as morning dew and careers are measured in chart weeks. She's thriving on the one hand, touring, releasing very personal music, mentoring musicians on national television, and changing in front of an attentive public. She acknowledges, however, that she is quietly incredulous that the death she was forewarned about, the symbolic death of momentum, attention, or opportunity, hasn't yet come. This confession isn't morbid. Growing up in a system that teaches women, especially young ladies in pop and country music, that success has an expiration date is reflected in this. The death she learned to anticipate. Kelsey has heard the murmurs since the beginning of her career. Persistent but not always loud or malevolent. Pop country females are supposed to burn bright and fast. The currency is that young person. Until it doesn't, that radio prefers a particular sound. Vulnerability is perilous, reinvention is risky, and going beyond the box could be disastrous. She is referring to the fall, which she was instructed to anticipate, when she expresses surprise that death hasn't arrived yet. That day when the phone doesn't ring. The single stall is open that week. The time of year when the industry declares you to be a thing of the past. Rather, she remains here. She is surprised by that. Developing under the microscope, Kelsey didn't enter the music gently. She came with sparkling tunes and lyrics that seemed like pages from a friend's diary. She was young, sincere, and prepared. While early success can seem like a boon, it also stops time in its tracks. The world expects you to remain 20 forever after meeting you at that age. Every change in haircut, every shift in sound, and every personal achievement turns into a test. Fans demand authenticity, yet they back off when it doesn't live up to their expectations. Executives are afraid of risk, but they desire growth. Critics punish honesty while demanding depth. A person is shaped by living in that conflict. It instills alertness. It teaches you to be ready for everything, even when things are going smoothly. Being a silent rebellion and surviving as Kelsey's profession progresses, survival itself becomes increasingly significant. Every album cycle that remains intact, and every tour that grows rather than contracts subtly defies the established norms. That kind of longevity has power, but it's the steady kind, not the flamboyant, triumphant kind. The type that declares, "I'm still learning. I'm still evolving. I am still permitted to occupy space." She is not shocked since she doesn't believe in herself. It's skepticism in the story she inherited and relief that it might not be accurate. When her career wasn't ended by vulnerability, if there was ever a time when death seemed imminent, it was when Kelsey decided to be honest. The messy, human truth, not the polished, radio-ready one. She did not romanticize heartbreak in her writing. She sung of the pain of changing into someone else, dread and insecurity. These were not calculated actions meant to increase the number of people in the population. They were introspective assessments. This should have been risky in a field that frequently penalizes women for being honest, particularly when it comes to emotional honesty. It turned into connective tissue instead. The fans stayed. They bent closer. The shock started to hit in at that point. Experience's voice. Literally, another alleged risk was when Kelsey took on a mentorship role on The Voice. The shift from artist to guide can occasionally be interpreted by the industry as a slow fading, a sign that your best days are over. For Kelsey, however, it had the opposite effect. It reframed her as a professional rather than a product. Someone with a viewpoint. Someone whose worth extended beyond their place on the chart. Observing her support competitors, stand up for artistic inclinations, and candidly discuss self-doubt only served to confirm that she was not going away. She was growing. The burden of women's expectations, many women outlive the warnings and experience the shock she recounts. Female artists are especially under pressure to defend their continued existence. Every new chapter needs to demonstrate its worth. Every reinvention needs an explanation. In the music industry, men are frequently let to mature into gravitas. Women are expected to become invisible as they age. By simply refusing to disappear rather than yelling, Kelsey's persistent presence confronts that imbalance. Achievement without confidence, there has never been a promise of assurance, even with the public validation, the crowded settings, and the awards. That is an additional layer of shock. Because she believed she was safe, she did not survive. Even though she thought the floor may collapse at any time, she managed to survive. That, continuing to create while balancing optimism and fear in one hand, has a subtle heroic quality. Her motivation isn't arrogance. Curiosity is the reason. If I attempt this, what will happen? What would happen if I spoke this aloud? What if, despite being warned that I might, I don't vanish? The response thus far has been growth. Redefining the meaning of death. Kelsey's conception of death has changed throughout time. Charts and headlines are no longer important. It has to do with the loss of the ability to speak the truth. About going numb. When the spirit wants to move, how can one stay safe? She is definitely alive by that standard. She breathes in her music. She gives long performances. Both literally and figuratively, her voice is constantly changing. The fact that she failed isn't the shock anymore. She has discovered that failure is not the end. A career based on becoming perfection isn't what makes Kelsey's story so captivating. It's moving. She doesn't act as like she knows everything. She doesn't appear to be unbreakable. Rather, she lets the audience see becoming, the gradual, erratic process of discovering your identity when the rules shift and the spotlight doesn't go away the way you expected it to. She now uses that honesty as her compass. The reason she remains: the industry misjudged her ability to adapt, which is based on self-awareness. If it ever informed her, she wouldn't last. Kelsey didn't hold on to any certain version of herself. She released her grip. She mourned. She developed. By doing this, she established a profession that relies on resonance rather than innovation. The death never materialized because of this. Gratitude replaces the shock. The shock sounds different now. It has a softer texture. Warmer. More wonder, less dread. She is shocked because she was taught to, not because she questions her value. She feels as though each new project is a surprise gift. Every prolonged moment feels valuable, brittle, and earned. Perhaps the key to her enduring strength is that she never believed she had a right to live a long life. She cared for it as though it were something. Still singing and standing, Kelsey Ballerini is evidence that the deadlines imposed on women in music are myths, damaging and enduring, but myths nonetheless. She was instructed to expect death, yet it never came. She refused to define herself by someone else's conclusion, not because she outran it. She remains here. She continues to surprise herself. I'm still writing. Continuing to revitalize a career that was never meant to survive this long.